Let's take a look at this SH Figuarts Piccolo from Daima. This is the adult version. This box is a lot bigger than the other boxes that the other Daima characters came with. But we do get the cloth cape in the back, so you get like a double clamshell thing going on. So we have a nice picture on the front of the figure. This is a nice size window if you guys want to keep them and collect them in the box, so you can still see the figure inside pretty good. On the side, you get a few pictures and poses. On the back, more pictures and poses, posing ideas. On the side is the extension of the window. Top, the same thing with the shock look for Piccolo. And then the bottom looks nice. That's how I store my boxes. But I got this guy off of forestmori.com. This guy went for around $66. So another Daima figure. I wasn't very excited about the Daima line until I started off with the Goku, and then that one got me to get the Vegeta, so on and so forth. So these are actually good figures. This is what you get in your clamshell. We have several different hands here, a lot of different hands and a lot of different faces, and you get some crossed arms. And like I mentioned before, this is his cloak, so it's the cloth style cloak, which is good. And I'll make a comparison between the first release and the second release Piccolos later on in the video, but we'll get started with the accessories. So several different hands here. He has some open palm hands. These ones are like completely open for key blasts or other things you want to pose them with. Next are these are kind of like grasping or karate style looking hands, so good hands there also. It might be like standard stuff for the Piccolo. I forgot what other hands came with the other Piccolos, but I remember him coming with some karate chop hands like these ones. So some karate style hands, karate chopping style hands. And then for the last set of hands that he doesn't have on in the box, which are the fists. These are the special beam cannon hands. So a pretty good amount of hands there to get some good poses out of this guy. Next, we have the crossed arms effect. And these crossed arms look okay. I mean, this is just your standard stuff. Some crossed arms come and you can peel them apart. These ones are stuck together. Feel like a harder rubber plastic or the PVC, so they feel pretty durable. And they plug into the figure pretty easily. They also look pretty good with the cloak off. I mean, it's a little gappy, but it can still work. But it's mostly suited to have him with his crossed arms with the cloak on. So another good accessory to have for Piccolo. I think the superhero Piccolo didn't come with crossed arms actually, because there's no cloak, but if we get a cloak, we gotta have the crossed arms. Next is this cloak before we get into the faces. And this is a cloth style cloak. So the top part is it just feels like rubber, but pretty durable rubber. I'm not sure if it's PVC or whatever the name of it is, but it does feel durable, nice and flexible. And then the cloth cape on the inside with the little strap to make sure it fits snug on him, I guess. So it does look good on the figure, and it definitely works a lot better. Get a lot more movement out of it. Obviously, it has the wire in here on the cloth part of the cape, so you could look a lot better when you're posing this Piccolo and things like that. This would be like a separate order if we were gonna try to add it to the current Piccolos that we do have. And the cloak does fit on the Piccolo Great Namekian, or the Dragon Ball Z version of Piccolo, if you guys wanted to swap that out to get the cloth cape look. So it's good that they sent the cloth style cape. I really like that. They also sent it with the 3.0 Teen Gohan. So a lot of faces here, so we'll go over them one by one. First, we have the yelling face with no cloak. And the green that they chose is a lot more vibrant than the previous releases. And here's a comparison between the two greens here. As you can see, the Piccolo Great Namekian, I believe the name is a little bit darker. And for the superhero Piccolo, is also slightly darker. Next is a teeth gritting face. The details on these head sculpts are face sculpts. Well, it's a full head sculpt because you can't take the face off, but I like it. It looks really, really good. Then we have the head that comes with his cap. And this is the harder rubber plastic again, very durable. PVC rubber, whatever it's called, but This is a smirking face with the cap on. That looks really nice. The next face is a shocked face with the cap on. And for some reason, this face looked pretty dope. Like, I probably wouldn't pose him on my shelf with this face, but it has really good detail in the mouth, the eyes, the line work. Like, they did a really good job with these Daima figures, to be honest. Like, they're pretty spot on with the anime. For the last face for the cap is a yelling face. And this one's like, this looked like a low yelling face. I don't know. It seems like they could have maybe squinted his eyes more and opened his mouth a little bit wider, so he could be yelling louder, I guess. This is more like a yawn almost, but nonetheless, the details look really, really good. Got to keep mentioning again, they did a really good job with these Daima figures. Like, the faces look more full from the side view, and just the detail, because this is, you know, an up-to-date version of the actual figure. So that's it for accessories. Here's the figure. This is Daima Adult Piccolo. Taking a closer look at this guy, he has his straight looking face out of the box. And again, the details look spot on. The color of the green is a little bit lighter. Again, like I mentioned before, it is now the soft gi, which is dope. So it looks more full on the body. There's no shading in the figure that I can see yet. This color is more from, I guess it's from the manga. I mean, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z anime, so I always remember Piccolo being pink. All the yellow stuff like came out of nowhere for me, to be honest, but it doesn't look too bad. They kind of keep switching it back and forth. So this is the color that we get in Daima, and that looks pretty spot on. It's painted red for the outline of that part. The paint is a little bit bleeding over, but that's not too bad. The skin is just a green plastic, and he has the red paint around his wrists. This is all purple rubber plastic. You kind of see his belly and the inside. If you guys wanted to try to take this off of him, at least you'll get like a, you know, actual details in the inside, but he'll be missing some shoulders, it looks like. The belt is the red rubber printed out. And then on the legs, it looks like some slight airbrush shading, probably like a darker purple. Oh, hopefully the light can catch it on camera, but it's like a slight little bit of shading just in the legs. For some reason, SH Figuarts, they don't really add too much shading to their figures. But when they do, it's like mostly on the leg. So these are all new feet at the bottom, but this is all kind of like the brownish, greenish plastic. And you can see a little bit of his ankle down there with some good detail and line work. It is painted with that yellow with the pink lines in the back, and there's no paint at the bottom. And then these boots just look a lot different. They're back to being pointy again. So this figure feels pretty good in hand. It's got some weight to it. Aesthetically speaking, it definitely looks spot on to Daima. I mean, this is what he looked like in Daima, and I'll put the rest of the gear on him later so we can see what he looks like with the cloak on and the cap. So for articulation for this guy, starting off with this head, this is all new. I can't think of any other figure that has, like, this is almost triple. So you have the ball peg, and then you have two hinges, and then you have the part where you clip his head on. And you know, the reason that they're doing that is so now that you can get this guy into flight poses, which is really good. When he has his cloak on, obviously we want to get Piccolo flying and things like that, but just don't have him all the way up like that, because that kind of looks ridiculous. But it makes it better suited to have his cloak on. When his head is all the way up like that, you can get a side to side tilt at the top. You bend that back down. His neck has some good articulation. He doesn't look down too far unless you pull his head out a little bit. Then, I mean, you definitely don't want your figure to look like that, but he definitely he has a lot of range with this ball peg, and I already showed that part. He can look all the way up, so that's really good. The butterfly joints, this feels like the cup and ball peg deal, like the rest of the 3.0s that they've been coming out with. There is a separate piece here to detach from like the actual gi, so we can kind of see inside there. So reaching in, he reaches in pretty far, to be honest. Let's see if we could get this out a little bit more. But that's pretty good range going forward. And then the range going backward is pretty good also. This is kind of, you know, as you're moving them around and things like that. Same thing happened with the Goku. You kind of get a little gap there. But you just got to remember to push the shoulders in so that way everything can fall flush. His shoulder extension can go up about that high. The bicep swivel smooth. Double jointed elbows are good. Ball pegs are really good. I always mention this in my videos, man. I like to have good ball pegs for the wrists, so that way they're not snapping and things like that. Like a lot of us get our figures and we want to really start to posing these guys and moving them around and things like that. But once those wrist pegs snap, then that's pretty much it. So this is Tamashii Nations and Bandai, you know, official releases. We could look forward to not having too many QC issues. So for the ab crunch on this guy, he can crunch down pretty far. And I've seen other videos where people are modding this guy, like how we did with the Goku. I never left my Goku that way, because you'd get an even bigger gap if you were to do that. So if you're not familiar with the mod, you can reach in here and pull his torso out and then put the peg back in. I'm not going to do that with my figure because I think it looks funky. This already looks funky, so huge gap in the back for leaning forward, although he does lean forward very far. He leans back very far, but again, like the hugest gap ever right there. That's crazy. So leaning to the side, same thing. The waist can move side to side. You get a full 360 out of that also. And then down to these legs, this is all new. So he has this is soft rubber, just like Vegeta Daima. So if you tuck these part of his thighs in, he gets really good splits with, you know, these, this part's hanging out. So, I mean, if you're gonna do some splits, you're gonna have to look at that part. I don't really pose my figures like this, but we always add it into the articulation anyway. Forwards and backwards splits pretty good because that crotch area is all soft rubber. I like that idea, man. Like the Gogeta that I just reviewed, the demoniacal fit, they're still using like the harder plastic, so you can't really get his legs to kick back if you guys are posing your guys' figures that way. So bicep swivel is good. This is a good cuff around here to make it more like seamless from each angle. And then again, these are the single jointed knees, like the Goku that just came out. I have a review for that also, but in the beginning, because we weren't used to it, like it looked funky. But now when we look at it, now that it's like settled in, like this actually looks a whole lot better. So I look forward to that new Goku that's going to be released soon. Can't wait for that because it's going to have the same mechanics. And then we have the ankle rocker. This is also new. The differences between this new one and the old one is the separation in the foot and the ankle. So the old Piccolo, like his whole foot moves. You can't really get an ankle rock there. With this guy, we have an ankle rock. It extends inward and outward pretty well. Can lean down about that far, leans up about that far, and then the toe hinge is nice and buttery smooth. So this figure feels really solid so far, a really solid release. So I'll put this other gear on him. It's a little tricky to get this cap on here because you got to get it to like snap into the softer rubber. So I kind of just push down at the purple part, and then that should do well just like that. So let me attach all this stuff so we get a full look of him with the cloak and the crossed arms, and then you can just see how easy it is to switch all that out. So a very easy swap out. Before we get into some height comparisons, here are the differences between the old and the new. And the color of the greens, like I mentioned before, Daima is a lot lighter. And then this is the Dragon Ball Z version, so it's pink. That's what I grew up on. Now he's got the yellow spots and things like that for all the anime readers and the manga readers, I mean. anime readers, but I didn't read the manga. And the cloaks, obviously, we go from the harder plastic, which is pretty much just standing him up here just like that, to finally getting this guy to do some poses and things like that. So, and then the superhero superhero Piccolo is a lot darker, also a lot thicker too. All the Daima figures are very slim, but at least the Piccolos are around the same height. So for height comparisons, here he is next to Goku and Vegeta from Daima. Here he is next to Legendary Super Saiyan Goku and older style battle clothes Vegeta. And then here he is next to the rest of the Piccolos that have came out. And then his mini-me. So again, I think this is a really dope release, aesthetically speaking. I didn't like Daima figures before. I do like them now. And as far as the aesthetic look, it is a 10 out of 10 because this guy looks exactly like the Daima version of Piccolo. I don't see anything that's off about it. This is what he looked like in the show. For articulation, this guy can do a whole lot of new things. So I think the articulation is really good. So that has to be like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Maybe a 9 because there's a lot of gaps when you are getting them into those poses and things like that, especially in the waist area. So, but overall, a really good figure release. And I got mine from forrestandmaury.com. You could find them on the shop app, or you could just look them up on the internet. He was around $66. So go ahead and grab this guy if you guys want to continue adding to your Daima collection. If you feel like this video was helpful, you can go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to keep an eye out for my next videos to come, go ahead and subscribe. Until then, thank you for watching.